Hey folks, it's John with KGTropicals.com bringing you another episode of KGQandA where we're answering your questions sent in to that email address right there. Get your questions in now and you might see them answered on this series. And I am saying might now because I'm not going to be able to answer them all. And the main reason why is because I do get a lot of duplicate questions. And I've also been getting a lot of books sent to me. And I can't hijack an entire episode reading somebody's email that's that long on the screen. So keep the questions brief and try not to ask a question that I've already answered. If it's been some time, I'll repeat it. But, you know, a lot of times what happens is people send in a question and then by the time I get to it, I've already had that question from somebody else. So it's not usually anybody's fault. But anyway, let's get right to it. I don't even know how to say this guy's name. Andrej Zvornyai. I botched it. I know I did. No disrespect. I don't know what it said. Hey John, I have a hap and I'm not sure what kind it is. Looks similar to a flameback hap, but it has blackish gray stripes on it and has red on its fins. Its premier color is grayish light blue. Do you know what kind of hap this is? No, I don't. And the other problem I have is that I have a female for that hap and the male wants to spawn, but the problem is that the female doesn't want to and the male is bullying her because of that. What can I do to get them to spawn? Are they the only two fish in the tank? If they are, then the female, it's been over a month since you sent this, female's probably dead by now. And you know me, I'm quickening them to the point. You made your mistake by only putting two fish in there. If they're the only two fish in there, it's not going to work. Have people done it? I'm sure they have. But with haps, if you have one male, one female, all that male is going to do is exactly what you said he's going to do and constantly pursue that female and constantly pound her to spawn. Even if she's holding eggs, he doesn't care. He's constantly going after her and he won't stop. And so this is why we tell you to put a lot of fish in the tank. This is why African cichlids are best bred in colonies and not pairs. So if the female isn't dead by now, separate them, let her get healed up, get a few more. If you figure out what your fish is, I don't know what it is. If you figure out what it is, get some more of the females and give him a bunch of females to go back and forth to, and he will stop harassing that one female. But try to save her first. I hope she hasn't died on you. Matthew Lau. Hey John, thank you for always posting quality fish keeping videos on YouTube, something this hobby needs more of. You are very welcome, sir. Here's my question. Aquascaping or hardscaping, in the case of African cichlids, is something I like to put a lot of emphasis into when I set up a tank. I've heard many differing opinions about whether African cichlids prefer a lot of hiding places or if the lack thereof will promote decreased aggression. Sorry. One of the predominant arguments is that you give them a spot to defend, then they will be compelled to defend it. But if there aren't any distinct territories to defend, then theoretically they will be peaceful. What is your opinion on that matter, and do you aquascape your tanks? Thank you, and I can't wait to hear your response on a future video. You've been waiting a while, Matthew, so thank you for being patient. I've actually talked about this, my opinion on this matter, quite a few times. I love the appearance of a heavily decorated tank with all of the rocks. And you know, if you look at tanks like Mr. Honey to You has one of the prettiest tanks on YouTube. He's got rocks everywhere and it's beautiful. And there's a lot of people that have a lot of aquascape in their tanks. I don't mean to only call him out, but it's gorgeous and it's beautiful and I love to look at it. But my opinion on this matter is that, you know, I don't like to give them a lot of defined territories to fight over. I am of the belief that one of the ways to curb aggression is to not give them something to be aggressive over. And so having no places for them to fight over, it does eliminate that. I mean, it's not 100% fail safe, but for the most part it works. I mean, the aggression in my 240, since I removed all of the stuff that I had in there and went to really just the background with a couple of little rocks on the bottom, the aggression in my tank has gone down dramatically. And it's because these guys aren't trying to occupy a little territory and defend it. They're just swimming around, and they don't really care about claiming a spot. Now, they do still dig a little hole, and they kind of sit in that area, and that's theirs, and they will kind of chase people away from it. But for the most part, it has cured an aggression problem. I didn't really have a huge aggression problem because I've always overstocked that tank, but that's my opinion on it. I prefer kind of a simpler design for me, but I love looking at people's tanks that are heavily decorated. I also love tanks that are kind of in the middle. They're not over the top decorated, but they're not simple like mine either. A great example of that would be Mark Bolton's tank that he sits in front of for most of his videos. It's gorgeous the way he just has those rocks going through the middle. I think he still has it that way. I love it. I love the look of that. And I think that he actually makes the argument that you should have a lot of hiding places in the tanks for the fish. I don't think either argument is wrong. I think it's a matter of preference. If you like a tank like my 240 that doesn't have an over-the-top aquascape, then do that. If you like heavily decorated tanks, which it appears that you do, then do that too. There's another drawback to having a heavily decorated tank for me. You know, we have 180 something tanks here in the actual store part of our building, and 178 of them don't have any decor in them at all because we're constantly pulling fish out of them to bag up for customers. Having all of the decor makes it hard, really hard to catch fish. So that's another one of the arguments that I would make, but that's not show tanks. You know, that's just tanks that we're getting fish out of that are, you know, fish for sale for customers. So there's a lot of different ways of looking at it. Like I said, I don't think any argument is wrong. I think it's a matter of what you prefer. And I prefer letting the fish be the decor in the tank, not all of the aquascape, but I do appreciate a really nice aquascape. So kind of wishy-washy on that one, but I hope I answered your question. All right, Brandon H. He's another one that sent me a nice long book. Hi, I'm Brandon from Illinois. I got some questions about holding female African cichlid. I'm a fish keeper hobbyist. I'm looking to get some fry and see some maternal instincts. I'm new to cichlids and recently have found out that one of my females is pregnant. I did watch your videos of African cichlid breeding, keeping the fry, etc. Great information, thanks a lot. But back to the pregnant female. It has been almost 18 days since I noticed her holding. Since then, I moved her into a small 10-gallon tank by herself to remove a lot of the stress, thanks to your video. I think you said typically a female will hold 18 to 21 days, so she should be releasing any day now. Is there a chance she holds for this extended amount of time and then swallows the fry? Also after she... Oh, good God, this is just too long. All right. Yes, a female can hold longer than 21 days. I've had Mbunas hold for 28 days. I've had Mbunas hold for 17 days. You never really know. Most people that are breeding for hobby sake, they know exactly what day their female spawned. And so they're able to track, you know, how long it takes for that to happen. But for somebody like me, you know, we walk into the shop and we're like, oh, we have a holding female. I wonder when that happened. You know, so we don't know exactly. This is why we stripped, one of the reasons why we stripped the fry. But to answer your question, I think you've got a few questions in here. To answer your question, yes, they can hold longer than 21 days, and no, I mean, I suppose she could swallow the fry, but at that point, I think it's unlikely. You've got her in a tank by herself, so she doesn't have the threat of other fish coming in and disturbing things. I don't think she's going to swallow the fry after that long. But I think the more likely scenario would be that you walk up to the tank one day and spook her and she spits them out. But what's wrong with that? I mean, at this point, they're probably free swimming fry, and you know, you sent me that on the 27th, so I'm sure those fry are out swimming and having a good old time by now. So sorry it took me so long to get to that. All right, Braden Freeze, Freeze, I think it's Freeze. I got a bigger tank for Christmas. It's a 36-gallon aquarium. Now I've had some fry. I've been taking care now. They're 2 to 3 inches. I've got electric yellow labs firemouths, convict, 2 banded morii, and a cobalt blue who is in cichlid jail. And last is a clown pleco. Can I have more in my 36-gallon aquarium? We have to work on what you already have first, because a firemouth and a convict, they have no business being with your Africans. I don't care what the kid at PetSmart told you. He told you wrong. And if a mom and pop pet store told you that you can put those together, then shame on them. Never go back to that store. Those fish don't belong together, Braden. And so I wouldn't add more fish to your tank, because you're probably going to end up having big problems in your tank. And every time I run into this issue on these videos, I have to say this: there's going to be somebody, they're going to put in the comment section, I've done it, it works. Well, fine, it worked for you. I know people that keep discus with African cichlids, but it doesn't mean it's going to work every single time. It's just like my argument about OB peacocks. People say they're the meanest peacocks ever. Just because you had a bad experience with OB peacocks doesn't mean they're all mean. It just means you had a mean one. But you got a problem in this tank, dude. And the problem is that you've got fish that require completely different water parameters. You've got convicts. Now, convicts are one of those fish that you can label them all as mean. They are. There's a reason why they're called convicts, and it's not because they have vertical bars. At least that's what I tell everybody. They're mean. Convicts are nasty little mean fish. They're a lot of fun, but they're mean. And you got them with yellow labs and banded morii, which you probably paid a lot of money for. It's a recipe for disaster, dude. I want you got a new tank for Christmas. Hopefully that means you have you said you got a bigger tank, so you still have the old one. Please separate these fish. Then let's talk about what else you can add to that tank, because this is not going to work out very well. That firemouth is going to get huge, and I don't care what anybody says, just because they grow up together doesn't mean they're always going to be friendly to each other. That is a big myth, and it's not true. Those convicts and firemouths will turn on your Africans in a heartbeat, and the Africans can do the same. So apparently your blue cobalt already has. So get those fish separated, and then let's talk. So we're going on 13 minutes again. I think we've exhausted all of our questions for this episode. So I want to thank you all so very much for watching this, and I cannot wait to do the next episode. Maybe do a couple more today. So thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you on the next episode.